Take a breath and settle in. Welcome to Metaphysics at the Movies, the podcast where film meets deeper meaning and every scene becomes a doorway to insight. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing someone who doesn't just watch movies, he reads them. Reverend Rich P. is a Unity minister, speaker, and teacher of practical spirituality, known for blending real-life wisdom with metaphysical truth in a way that's grounded, accessible, and powerful. Around here, it's not just about what's happening on the screen. It's about what's happening within us as we watch. So whether it's drama, comedy, or action, Reverend Rich P. helps us uncover the spiritual principles, the hidden patterns, and the deeper messages woven into the stories we love. Get ready to see movies differently, and maybe even see yourself differently too. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Metaphysics at the Movies, the podcast where we discover the spiritual truths hiding in the stories we love. And this summer, we're kicking off a special series called the Summer Blockbusters that teach spiritual truth. Every week, we'll look at one of the biggest movies ever made, not a film critic, but as a spiritual explorer. We'll ask simple questions. What is Spirit trying to teach us through the story? And today, we're beginning with one of the greatest summer blockbusters of all times, Jurassic Park. Now, you may be thinking, Rev Rich, it's a movie about dinosaurs eating people. Fair enough. But beneath the roaring dinosaurs and breathtaking special effects, it's a timeless spiritual lesson about power, wisdom, humility, and our relationship with the creative process itself. Let's go ahead and open those gates. So we know the story. At first glance, Jurassic Park is about a scientific achievement. A billionaire creates a theme park filled with living dinosaurs by recovering ancient DNA. Seems like the ultimate triumph of human ingenuity, right? Everything appears to be under control. They have electric fences, security systems, computer monitoring, backup plans. The people behind the project believe they have anticipated every possibility. Then, little by little, the illusion of control begins to fall apart. Nature doesn't cooperate with their expectations. Systems fail. The dinosaurs behave according to their own nature. What was designed to be perfectly managed becomes wonderfully and dangerously alive. By the end of the story, survival depends less on controlling the environment and more on learning how to move with it. That's where the metaphysics begin. So let's talk about metaphysics lesson number 1. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. One of the most memorable lines comes from Dr. Ian Malcolm. Your scientists were so preoccupied whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. That line isn't just about dinosaurs, it's about life. Every day we have the ability to say something, to react to something. We can hold a grudge. We can chase success. We can make another commitment. The question isn't always whether we can. The deeper question is whether it aligns with wisdom, love, and our highest purpose. Unity teaches that wisdom is one of the innate spiritual powers. Wisdom helps us discern the right use of every other power. Power without wisdom can become force. Knowledge without wisdom can become arrogance. How often do we rush ahead simply because the opportunity exists without pausing to ask if it serves our highest good? So just this simple lesson, what can we start to do to practice this, is before making an important decision this week, pause for a minute, take a breath, ask your true self, does this move me toward greater love, greater peace, and greater wholeness? And that single question can choose and change everything of its outcome. So let's go ahead and move into metaphysics lesson number 2, the illusion of control. So John Hanman believes enough planning can eliminate uncertainty. Many of us do exactly that same thing. If I can just organize, if everyone behaves the way I want them to, if nothing unexpected happens, then it finally feels like peace. but life rarely unfolds according to our script. Unity reminds us that peace doesn't come from controlling circumstances. Peace comes from trusting the divine presence within us, regardless of circumstances. Control is exhausting. Trust is liberating. The fences in Jurassic Park eventually fail. Sometimes the fences we build around our own lives fail too. The invitation isn't to panic. It's to remember who we are when the unexpected arrives. Let's talk about metaphysical lesson number 3 here. Every living thing expresses divine life. One of the beautiful ideas in Unity is that life itself is sacred. Dinosaurs aren't evil, they're simply expressing their nature. The problem isn't life, the problem is human arrogance, believing life can be completely manipulated. Spirit continually creates. Growth isn't something we manufacture, it's something we cooperate with. When we stop resisting life and begin partnering with it, or co-creating, as we say many times, we discover a deeper rhythm. And instead of forcing outcomes, we become participants in the divine unfolding. Let's move on to metaphysics lesson number 4. Fear makes us forget what we know. When danger appears, some characters panic. Others became calm. The difference isn't intelligence, it's presence. Fear narrows awareness. Faith expands it. Unity never teaches us to deny fear. Instead, we're invited to remember that fear doesn't define us. Faith isn't pretending everything will be easy. Faith is remembering that the same presence that has carried us before is with us now. So we're going to throw a little Unity teaching here as well. So the 12 powers of man, if you don't know much about the 12 powers, check out Charles Fillmore's 12 Powers of Man or any of the other wonderful books that are out there about it. You can even go to unity.org to get a brief explanation. But in this week's spiritual power is actually wisdom. So we're talking about the power of wisdom within the movie Jurassic Park. And Charles Fillmore describes wisdom as our capacity for right judgment and spiritual discernment. Wisdom asks questions before taking action. Wisdom listens before speaking. Wisdom looks beyond appearances. Imagine how differently Jurassic Park would have unfolded if wisdom had guided every decision. Imagine how differently some of our own stories might have unfolded. And we talk about, unity and a lot of times how we have that biblical connection. And here the book of Proverbs tells us wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. That's not merely about accumulating information. It's about aligning our choices with divine intelligence. Jesus continually modeled this before making major decisions. He prayed, he withdrew, he listened. Action flowed from inner guidance. What if we did the same? What if we shut out the outer noise that is always around us, the people who are telling us how it should be, the social media that's telling us that this is how it's done, the television programs that are geared toward inciting the way to think? What if we stopped all that noise and got our answers from our inner guidance? So our homework this week is notice one area of your life where you're trying to force an outcome. Maybe it's a relationship, a career decision, your health, a family situation. And instead of gripping tighter, spend a few moments each day affirming, divine wisdom guides every step I take. I trust the perfect unfolding of life. Then pay attention. You may discover that peace arrives before the answer does. So again, Jurassic Park really isn't about dinosaurs. It's about us. It's about what happens when the ego believes it can replace wisdom. It's about the difference between control and trust. It's about remembering that life is always greater than our plans. Maybe the greater lesson from the summer blockbuster isn't hidden in dinosaurs at all. Maybe it's hidden in the invitation to live with humanity. To live with humanity, with humility, with discernment, and trust in the divine intelligence that's always present, always guiding, and always creating. Well, thank you for joining me for the first episode of our summer blockbuster that teaches spiritual truth series. Next time, we wax on, wax off as we uncover the metaphysical wisdoms and the hidden insight of one of my favorite movies, The Karate Kid. You may never look at sanding a floor or painting a fence the same way again. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who loves movies and meaningful conversations. Until next time, remember, the greatest stories don't just entertain us, they reveal us. So take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings.
And just like that, the credits start to roll. But here's the truth. What you saw in the movie is already playing out in your life. So the question is, what are you choosing to believe? What role are you stepping into? And what truth are you ready to live? That's the work. If this episode spoke to you, don't just sit with it. Walk with it. Apply it. Live it. Let it move through you. And if you're ready to go deeper, more teachings, tools, journals, and ways to activate this in your everyday life, head over to revrichp.com. That's where the conversation continues. Until next time, keep watching, keep awakening, and take that truth and walk with it. Peace and blessings.